Hi, I'm Justin.
Also, I hate the way my voice sounds, so if you can do whatever Photoshop does to voices, make me sound awesome.
And this is my lovely friend,
The beauty in the eyes of the beholder, and it's just about getting into the seat of being the beholder.
Hayley.
I don't think you have to be particularly perceptive. I just think you have to look up.
This podcast is mostly just her telling me stories.
If you expose yourself to the possibility that this might be really awkward, there can be something just really cool on the other side of it.
She thinks that her life and way of looking at things are
Oh, I was kind of waiting on you. I thought you were getting your stuff ready. You're waiting on me?
pretty normal.
You got to edit out all the misinformation about the Amish.
Maybe you can relate.
I would like a chance to re-sing the Amish Paradise.
If you want lighthearted stories
All right, you want to talk about goats?
and stream of consciousness,
I just woke up and needed some friends, and so I bought them.
then you're gonna like the Sunny Side Up podcast.
Sunny side up, sunny side up, sunny side up, sunny side up.
So, if you're at all like me, you may feel that you're living in a world that can be a bit overwhelming and confusing at times. I'm also a huge fan of podcasts, documentaries, docudramas, stories, and of just information in general. Between all of that and the social media and news, sometimes our brains can feel like they're on overload. Hayley and I hope that this podcast can be something of an antidote to all of that. Like little jello shots of joy and distraction. None of it is too serious or really too informative. Mostly it's just two friends who have conversational chemistry talking about whatever enters the minds of relatively ADHD people. We hope you enjoy.
Your mother and Trump.
Mother and Trump. Oh, Trumpy boy. The thing I absolutely, I don't know. I understand from the left's point of view or from the quote unquote justice system's point of view, they feel like they really had to go after him. Be that as it may, whether it was intentional, unintentional, whatever, them going after him and throwing the book in every state for everything they could has done nothing but make that man more popular. It is
For sure.
It's unbelievable. That's what guaranteed his presidency.
It's
hands down.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
People are
They've
way
made a
more
martyr out of
devoted.
him.
Yes, thank you. That's what I was.
He's a middle of the road guy in terms of
But-
there's probably been worse presidents and there's for sure been better. He's very mid dude. I can take some of them, I can leave some of them, whatever. They have absolutely made a martyr of him, and that's what's going to crucify them. Oh yeah, he's
100%.
And
to
go right
his,
on into presidency.
his people were already on a our rights are being attacked.
Totally.
People are trying to strip
Yes.
us of our, and now
They just proved his point.
Yes.
Yeah,
it was almost like, did you script this? Because
That's
it
what it
could
feels
not
like.
have gone better for him with
No.
his 91 charges and
Yes.
multiple convictions
Yep.
of sexual assault. And the women that are willing to defend him. And I'm like, what?
yeah.
Like, you're
It's
okay
genius.
with this? Would you be okay with your daughter being treated the way he has treated some females? Like, we're okay with it? And they're like, oh, it's just boys being boys.
just boys being
What
boys. Yeah.
in the Taylor Swift are you talking about? It's like, go back to whatever brand of feminism doesn't want women to be verbally and sexually assaulted.
Ugh, well.
I have weird opinions of Trump because I was a person who was so fascinated whenever he first came out as a
Yes.
potential candidate
Yes.
because I thought he just intended to shake it up a little,
Right.
and I was all about that.
Right, absolutely.
But I think all of us felt that way, and I don't
Yes.
think he intended to run for the presidency. I think he only intended to shake it up.
Right.
But then he realized it's
like, oh,
working.
I could actually, well, exactly, because
And
he's
it-
like a, he's not a good business person, but he's a relatively good, what am I thinking of? Reality show. He's a fairly
For
good
sure,
reality
yeah.
show, like contestant or whatever, or not contestant, but like, someone who puts them together, producer or whatever. And I think in the reality show that is his life, that you're right. I think it was like a lark. It was like whatever. And then you run the polls and you're like, oh, I could actually do that. Like people would actually vote me in like they voted, his other reality shows. And he was just like, absolutely. This is like,
And
this
if
is dope.
nothing in my past is a deterrent, then all bets are off, and I will play every card in my hand because there's literally nothing that that might not work at this point.
Yeah.
It's fascinating. We fed a gremlin after dark. After midnight.
Yeah.
And so now this is what we got. It was cute and entertaining at first.
It was cute
and now it's terrifying.
Yeah.
And you can't put that back in the box.
No, it's not going back in the bottle.
Oh,
yeah.
It's terrifying.
I'm just grateful that he'll get his 4 years in, and the Constitution says he can't run after that. And
the Constitution says he can't run now. It's not stopping anything.
No, the Constitution is totally
arguably that 14th Amendment, the insurrection. If you have been, and the fact that we've been unable to agree that whatever January 6th was falls within that box. But
I feel bad for and this is probably again because that's my tribe where I came from. Like I see what went down, and like I could actually probably get emotional. I'm not saying there wasn't 20 to 30 of them in there that were real assholes and whatever. Most of those people. Like the QAnon people, like my heart breaks for them. They really thought that there was some real like insider dude. They believed it genuinely. And I mean,
even if they believed it, they were willing to storm a public building and smash windows and do things that if they saw a person of color doing that, they'd have lost their minds and insisted that they be arrested and punished.
Not to defend them, but like. When you've got like rioters of all the colors and stripes just breaking into
businesses,
mom and pop businesses, and I get it, the big corporate AT&T and Nike stores, well, but like breaking into mom and pop businesses, looting their stuff and trashing it, that is idiotic to me because that has nothing to do with your point or whatever. These people, in a very 1776 sort of way, really were like, hey, this is our country. They believed their country was being stolen from them. They just believed it. So I just have, and again, being raised in a cult around really beautiful hearted, wonderful people who were led astray, I have a lot of compassion for people who are essentially mass brainwashed and mind controlled into believing some very, very silly things. And Trump... it's very hard to know like where he lands on it. Did he half believe it? Was he just taking advantage of it? I think there's a yes and a yes. I think he thought there was probably a chance that some of that was true, and probably also was like, again, he's not a great businessman. He's not a great politician. He is an incredible like whatever this.
I would love to know what he's an incredible
reality show, whatever that is. Like I want to say contestant, but that's not right. It's like he's the guy who dreams it up. Like when I think of the right word, but he's incredible at reality shows. That's his life, which is all about. If you think about like if you've ever watched reality shows, it's all about learning to take advantage of the different things they're throwing at you. It's about gamification of like whatever the next move is
and manipulating an audience.
Well, sure, but like the whole point of a game show is to win. He's really good. He's an amazing contestant. I think that's what will land on contestant. Like he's a top tier alpha predator in the game show contestant world. And so regardless, whatever. So, but I do feel really bad for most of those people that were caught up in all that. My heart breaks for them. And it's.
There are some people in his inner circle who mentioned that they were discussing June or July of the year before the the January 6th thing.
Yeah.
Where he was hatching a plan. We'll just contest the election. We'll just say it's not right. And he was already saying, we're going to do this. Yeah. We're going to do this. It was already a plan. So when we say, did he really believe it? I think he didn't really believe it, but he had already committed to the plan of refute it anyway.
Yeah.
Regardless.
Absolutely.
Whatever the results are, deny it. And so he was already planning to do that.
And then some people threw enough like smoke and mirrors in the way where it's like, oh, maybe it really happened, or maybe we can say it really happened. Yeah, who knows? Exactly. And again, you're very great.
He's good at figuring out what energy will burn and then just harnessing it and using it to his best advantage.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, and there's a lady too. I don't remember what her position was that at some point, if the trial ever goes forward in like Georgia or whatever, she will go on, and she said she was standing next to him, and he sometime after the election said, like, point blank, I know I lost. I know it's nonsense, but I'm going to figure out like how to do this thing. And the problem is, I don't know if anybody else was in the room with her. So it's a very much a he said, she said, but she's like, I was standing right there with the president, and he looks at me and goes, I know I lost, but I'm not going to give up. Like I'm not going to go.
I wonder
down.
if that's the same one. There's a staffer who's no longer a staffer, or she may be, but we've got a different president. But she was right outside of his office, and she writes in a book that she has published, which I don't remember the name of it, but she's talking about Trump in his office, and then they're bringing in bottles of liquor, and other guys are coming and joining in, and the conversation's getting louder and louder, and they were actually discussing insurrection and different they were discussing the Insurrection Act and hatching different crazy plans and everything. It just made it sound like all of this was premeditated.
Yeah.
But she was interviewed on one of these like far left TV shows, so you just also
right.
Or what news are we going to believe?
I know.
It's all mind control.
I know. Yeah, I'm very 50-50 on him of like how much of it was its grand master plan. I don't think he's that type. I don't think he's that smart. I think, I've said it 10 times already. So
he's good at.
He's a reality show contestant extraordinaire, and I've watched a couple of them in the last like couple years. Now I get really sucked in on the right kind of reality show, and that's the people who do really well are just like highly adaptable, on the fly. They get what the game is at a deep level and at a gut level instinct when you're having to like pick between some unlikely, really crazy situations. They're just good at like playing the audience, playing the game, given the options they have, and understanding how games are played and how the reality world works. And it is a different universe than the one we live in. Just is. And there are just those people that are really good at it, you know? So anyways, that's my pitch on Donald, the greatest reality show contestant in history.
Well, I haven't met him, and he did not tell me that I have pretty eyes, so I am not sold on him just yet. He's going to have to.
All right, Donald, you're slipping here.
Send me some compliments and win my vote.
Hello, lovely friends. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. And it would mean the world if you would tell other people about this podcast and maybe even spam your social media accounts with just how much you're enjoying it. If you are, of course. Also, commenting and rating us on whatever platform you're downloading or streaming from is incredibly helpful to a little startup podcast like this one. On the other hand, if you are dissatisfied with your listening experience, please leave all of that hate on someone else's podcast. Just maybe to confuse them a little bit, right? But most of all, we hope you keep looking up and looking for the sunny side of life.